Welcome to another round of coffee and donuts. I'm Frank. I'm the director of law enforcement training over here at ACT, and this is where I answer your questions about becoming a police officer. Let's discuss. Hey, before we get started, just so you know, you can send us any question you want. We can answer all our questions on all our social platforms, but if you want your questions answered in a timely manner, you can send them over to our contact form on our website page at armageddonct.com. Once again, you can place them in social. And in addition, we have our new blog out there. So we're posting new blog posts every single week to answer more questions, not just about the hiring process, but how to be a successful law enforcement officer once you get into the academy, once you get into FTO, and then beyond. So I have three pre-submitted questions. Let's jump into it. The first one, I had a misdemeanor DUI in 2022. Okay, sorry to hear that. And I also had a DUI in 2019, but the 2019 DUI was dismissed. I go to the academy in December, self-sponsored in California. Do you think any agency will touch me? If you had the recent DUI in 2022, then, you know, based on the couple amount of years, maybe if you self-sponsored, you have a shot, but you're still fairly recent. 3 years for a DUI, it's enough with some departments, but you really have to have your articulation set. And then having another DUI back in 2019, law enforcement aren't going to care that it was dismissed. I mean, they'll look at that, they'll evaluate it, and it would have looked great if you had a DUI in 2019 that was dismissed. And when I say dismissed, I mean really dismissed. Not none of this, hey, I took a plea deal and I completed all the phases of probation, so then it was dismissed or reduced down. I mean, a fully dismissed, like it was a bad arrest. That's what a real dismissal is. That would still be a factor, but it would help. It would definitely make you a lot better. Self-sponsoring is probably the strongest way to go in this circumstance, so I applaud you on that. My biggest concern to this is I think you're going about it the right steps. My biggest concern is how long does your certification last for after you graduate the academy? A lot of times it's only 3 years. If it is 3 years, then good. I think you will be able to put some time and distance and get picked up before your self-certification expires through the academy. Um, but you have some hurdles. It's going to be a hurdle, especially if you're trying to apply to some type of like highway patrol. You said California, so if you're trying to apply to CHP, they probably wouldn't touch that specifically. Other departments, they'd consider it, specifically you being someone who's already graduated the academy, but you're going to have to articulate and show some significant growth and maturity from that, which you taking the time to go through the academy, put some more time and distance. That's probably the best way I would recommend it. Okay, next question. I'm doing my psychological interview end of October. It's going to be virtual. Any tips, questions they may ask? So understand that when you do your psychological, I'm assuming you haven't done any version of your psychologicals, which means you haven't even done your written exam of your psychological. So for questions they may ask, yes, depending on what you're doing, you have some type of personality inventory. Most common one is the MMPI. We're on the third version of it, which is just an abbreviated version of the MMPI 2, typically for the questions. But and then they could also combine a couple different other personality inventories or personality tests into that conjunction. So I would learn all those and make sure, not so that you know, because there's no right or wrong answer. Specifically on some of them there are, but typically there's no right or wrong answer as long as you can articulate your answers. Um, but yeah, it's those are the questions that I would get to learn, and then the biggest thing we teach our coaching members is what's called close the loop training so that they don't go off on these tangents and just answer the question that they're asking. Psychologists will pull on threads and go down rabbit holes if you open those doors. So just kind of keep that in mind. Um, Virtually, I will say this is treat every virtual interview as if you're there in person. So if you're taking a virtual interview at home and you have a lot of family or kids running around, don't do it at home, or make sure no one's home when you do it, or test your system beforehand. It's like trying to drive to a downtown and you have a psych exam, but you don't know what traffic's like on the day you're going to go. You didn't do any prep work. You don't want to be late because your system wasn't connecting or you didn't download Zoom or what have you. That's some of the tips I would give specifically for that. But once again, psychological has two components, the written exam and the interview. If you haven't done the written exam portion, I'd start looking at what type of questions are on personality inventories for a psychological exam. And then from there, I'd go into the more, hey, learning your background packet and making sure that you know what's in it, because psychologists now get access to all your hiring paperwork, I guess, so to say, your entire hiring packet. All right, last question. I applied for a department and got rejected. Even though I'm in the military, I think it's because of my credit and employment. So I'm not beating you up on this, right? But saying even though I'm in the military means nothing, right? Just because you're in the military doesn't mean you're getting hired as a law enforcement. Matter of fact, the military has a better chance of hurting you getting into law enforcement than it does helping you. Because in order for your military time to be really considered an aid, you have to have an honorable discharge and you have to have no reprimand. So if you any type of time you've ever had an article or a page in the military, and for those that are in the military know what I'm talking about, which means some type of reprimand, official reprimand, that's something you have to explain. That's a hurdle you have to go over. And trust me, it's documented and they can get access to it. So it's not what you say happened. It's what the organization or the department that you were with, whether that be Army or Navy or Marine or Air Force, any of those, what they said happened. So the official report, and it's not how you want to say it was a big misunderstanding. No, because they're going to go off the facts, and the facts are what's written down. So I'm not beating you up here, but I want you to change your mindset. Be the humble professor. Excuse me, humble professional. Don't go in and say, I'm in the military. Of course I should be hired as law enforcement. No, I can tell you right now, I've lost count of how many times military members were rejected from getting in for a multitude of reasons. One of them being cocky and ego, right? Especially when you get to the psych. Psych's really rough on military members. And one thing that they want to see is they want to see an individual is a professional and doesn't have some type of chip on their shoulder. So I'm not saying you do. I'm just saying, just as that reads, even though I'm in the military, it could come across wrong. That would be what I would consider poor written articulation. And then you go on to say, I think it's because my credit and employment. Well, if you're in the military, are you reserves? Are you National Guard? Um, then your employment should be the military. Unless you have a negative experience in the military, that's going to, like I just told and explained to you, have a negative impact on you. And then credit, once again, I don't know your age, but core four of your background, right, is your criminal history, your substance use, your work history, and then your credit history. And you just said two of the core four are something that you believe you have an issue with. Plus, then there's the whole articulating yourself from how it said in this. And not, once again, not beating you up. I just want you to take that into consideration. So yes, those could definitely be major factors. So keep that in mind. I hope this helps. Remember, you can go over and leave us any comment on any of our social platforms. We respond to them all. If you want something directly sent over to us privately, you can go over to our website, armageddonct.com. Scroll to the bottom of the page. You'll see a contact form where you can submit it there. It comes directly to me and the team, and we'll do our best to answer you and get back to you as quickly as possible. In addition, we have our new blog also on the website. Go over there, learn all you can. We have content coming out every single week for you. Stay safe, and I will see you next time.